operating in Argentina now. We are a local DMC. We organize and plan trips for passengers through Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, and Uruguay. And we have specialist departments in FIGs, groups, and MICE. Through the years, we opened 3 more offices in Argentina, in El Calafate and Ushuaia, both of them in Patagonia, and in Salta in the northwest of the country. We are very proud of our local offices because they allow us to give and serve your passengers on a direct level with the bus services and a deep local knowledge. We also have a 24/7 hour assistance by WhatsApp, email, and phone, and we are renowned for our excellent advising, deep knowledge of the regions we offer, and the many products availability we offer. So we will start the webinar with the most important highlight of all, El Calafate. El Calafate is one of Argentina's and Patagonia's most famous destination, and it is known as the land of glaciers. So in the red circles, you will find the destination we will talk about today, and we are starting with El Calafate, located here. It is almost 90 kilometers away from the Perito Moreno Glacier, located in the National Park Los Glaciares. And it is 250 kilometers away from El Chalten and 260 kilometers away from Chile, so Torres del Paine in Chile. It is a 3-hour flight from Buenos Aires, and you can reach El Calafate by flight from Buenos Aires, from Ushuaia, Bariloche, and Puerto Madryn, or by bus from Chile and other destinations in Argentina. So a closer map will allow you to see where El Calafate is located on the banks of Lake Argentino, offering a great landscape. And the Perito Moreno Glacier is located here. So when visiting El Calafate, we recommend at least a 3-night stay. It is important to understand that we divide the excursions in 2 areas in the national park. You will first have the Peninsula Magallanes area, where you will find the Glacier Perito Moreno, and I will present the different excursions you can do to see and visit the glacier. And then we have the area of the northern branch of Lake Argentino, where you will find most of the navigations, and the Estancia Cristina, and a second day of the visit of the region. So we will start with the first area, the Magallanes Peninsula, with all the excursions, including a stay and a visit to the Perito Moreno Glacier. So towards the Perito Moreno Glaciers. All the excursions I will present include the Perito Moreno and different ways to visit it. It's important to know that you do not need 2 or 3 days to do all the excursion. You will have to pick one of the excursions I will present, and they all include the visit to the main highlight, the Perito Moreno Glacier, and you should avoid repeating those excursions because they will repeat the same visits several times otherwise. So the most conventional one would be the glacier and the catwalks. It has no restrictions. It's a full-day trip that operates all year long. You can visit it during winter, during summer, it does not matter. And the visit includes 5 circuits in the national park on the catwalks. These 5 circuits are of different lengths and difficulty. You have a catwalk that is accessible in a wheelchair. You have some catwalks that are more difficult to reach, so a good health condition is necessary. And passengers, we have the full day to travel and walk on the catwalks, observe the glacier. It is important to note that the Perito Moreno Glacier is one of the only one in the world that still goes forward, and it reaches the Peninsula Magallanes, then forming a little bridge on top of the Lake Argentino. And every 5 to 6 years or so, and sometimes every 16 years, the bridge will break because of the pressure from the glacier that still goes forward, and it creates a very unique phenomena that a lot of people from all over the world come to see, as you can see in the picture. Then during this full day excursion on the Perito Moreno's catwalk, you can add an optional navigation called the Nautical Safari that will navigate for 1 hour on the south side of the glacier. It is a very nice addition to this full day, since they will be able to see the glacier from the water and have a different experience. During this full day, almost every time it is guaranteed to see some pieces of ice that will that would fall from the glacier and offering quite a unique show. But this is very different from the bridges when it breaks. It's important to note. And then I will now present the less conventional excursion to visit the Perito Moreno Glacier. So one that is quite famous is the mini trekking and the big ice. Mini trekking and big ice are two different excursions. So you have the Perito Moreno here. When you visit the Perito Moreno on the classic catwalk days, you will reach the catwalks here. And when you want to take the mini trekking or big ice excursion, you will take a boat trip that is similar to the Safari Nautico, reach the mountain refuge here, have a little hike on the marine. Then the blue itinerary is a mini trekking. You will have 1 hour and 40 on ice trekking, then come back to the refuge, have lunch. You have to bring your own lunch. Then take the boat back to Puerto Bajo las Sombras, and you will have time to observe the glaciers from the catwalks. You have less time than if you had a full day Perito Moreno, but you will still have some times. When you take the big ice, you take the same boat trip, reach the refuge, have a walk on the marine, and then with crampons, you go on the Glacier Perito Moreno, deeper into the glacier than during the mini trekking, and you have 3 hours and 30 on ice. Lunch will be taken on ice, and then they come back to the refuge, take a boat trip to Puerto Bajo las Sombras, and they will also have free time on the catwalks in front of the Perito Moreno. This is a picture of the mini trekking. It is important to note that both mini trekking and big ice have age restrictions, as both of them are quite physically demanding. The mini trekking is way easier. The age restriction is from 10 to 65 years, and it operates almost all year. The only time it does not operate is July, because it's in the middle of the winter and it is not reachable. You can do this excursion even if you're not an active hiker. It is not a problem. It is quite accessible. This is a picture of when they reach the refuge on the marine. Then they will put the crampons on and walk on the ice. This is a picture of the big ice excursion. So the age restriction is more restrictive, from 16 years old to 50 years old, and it operates from October to April. As they will reach a deeper area of the glacier, it cannot operate during the whole winter. This is a picture of the big ice excursion. As you can see, the views of the glacier and the experience is quite different from the conventional Perito Moreno full day. And it is a great way to explore the area on a different way. Then another excursion that will offer a different experience is the Moreno kayak experience. It is a full day trip from El Calafate, and you have to be minimum 14 years old and no experience is required. The only month it does not operate is in June. It is a great excursion to explore the glacier differently. They will navigate on the north wall of the Glacier Perito Moreno, have 2 hours on kayak, and then they will have 1 free hour to visit the catwalks in front of the glacier. Another excursion that I really like is the South Glacier Pioneers. It is a full day excursion and it operates from September to May. This excursion follows the route of the pioneers who settled in the area and built the Patagonian estancias. Estancias are local ranches, or typical ranches in Argentina, and the ones in Patagonia are very unique. It combines a navigation, the visit to the Perito Moreno Glacier, and a stay at the Nibibo Estancia, which is one of the most iconic estancia of the region. Here is a map so you can understand. So El Calafate is located on the right. You will take the route of the Patagonian estancias, have a stay in Nibibo, have lunch in Nibibo, then take a little boat on the south branch of the lake to reach Playa de las Monedas. Have a little hike. It's a very easy hike. It's not for passengers with a good health condition exclusively. And then you can take the rest of the navigation, reach the Puerto Las Sombras, from where the nautical safari lives and the boat for the big ice and mini trekking lives. And they have free time on the catwalks, and then they come back to El Calafate by land. It is a very great excursion for passengers who want to avoid the crowds, and also for passengers who have almost no time in El Calafate. They can't dedicate 3 nights, so they will combine 3 experiences in one. These are a picture of the lunch in the Nibibo Estancia and the navigation they will take. The maximum capacity is 12 people, so it is quite an exclusive experience. And when they will reach the Perito Moreno's catwalks, it will be at the end of the day when there is almost nobody there. All the regular excursions already left the catwalks. And to finish with the Magallanes Peninsula area and the Perito Moreno area, we also recommend a less known excursion called the Macho Moreno Trek. It is a full day excursion from October to May. It combines one of the less explored area of Lake Argentino and the Mayo branch, and it has a little time on the catwalks. So you leave El Calafate by land, reach Puerto Punta Bandera, and then you take a navigation to the Seno Macho, have a hike on the Macho area, and take a navigation to the Glacier Perito Moreno, reaching the north wall, when all of the excursions I mentioned before are on the south wall. And they will disembark in Puerto Moreno, have time on the catwalks, and take the boat back to Puerto Punta Bandera and back to El Calafate. This is a picture of the hike and the Seno Macho area. And this is a map of all the navigations and tours we talked about. So the conventional catwalk Perito Moreno, where you will stay in front of the Perito Moreno and have time to discover the 5 secrets of the catwalks. The Safari Nautico, that can be an additional with a 1-hour boat trip on the south wall here. Then we have the mini trekking on the glacier, the big ice on the glacier also, the Pioneers excursion in light blue here with a stay in Nibibo, crossing to Playa Las Monedas, the hike, and then crossing to Puerto Bajo las Sombras to the catwalks, and the Macho trek with the navigation to the Seno Macho, the hike, and then reaching the catwalks. So all of these excursions include a stay and a visit at the Perito Moreno glaciers. So you will have to choose one in all of the excursions I mentioned. And something I did not mention before, El Calafate is a seasonal destination, meaning we have a summer and a high season from October to March, April, depending on the years. And then it is a winter from May to September. So some of the excursions operate all year. Some of the excursions with Estancia or navigations, for example, operate only during the high season or at the beginning of spring, at the end of autumn, and then they close for the winter. So it is important to understand those when you offer the destination to your passengers, to be able to tell them which is the right season if they want to visit the estancias and navigates on most of the areas of the Argentino lake. We will now present the second area I talked about at the beginning with the Estancia Cristina and the northern branch of Lake Argentino and all the navigations available in this area. In this second area, it is for the second full day when they stay 3 nights. So on the first day, they will explore the Perito Moreno with one of the excursions we talked about. And on the second day, they will have the opportunity to take a navigation from what I will now present. So the most conventional one would be the All Glaciers full day navigation. It operates all year, and you will leave El Calafate, reach Punta Bandera port, and then they will navigate to the Brazo Uppsala. They If they are lucky and it's a clear day, they will be able to observe the Glacier Uppsala from far away. It is now forbidden to enter into the branch because the Glacier Uppsala is not doing so well. It melted a lot, so they try to preserve it, and navigations near the glacier is forbidden. And then they will reach the Glacier Specazzini from very close, observe it, disembark at the base Specazzini. They will have the opportunity to do a little walk, have lunch there. Lunch is not included, they have to bring it, or there's a snack over there. And then they will come back to Punta Bandera and go to El Calafate. As you can see, they will not navigate in front of the Glacier Perito Moreno. This is why it is very complementary to a full day to the Perito Moreno. They will see a different area of the national park. A little picture of what you can see during the navigation. This is the Glacier Specazzini. Then we have a navigation a bit more upscale, which is called the Glacier Gourmet. It is also a full day experience and it operates all year. The Glacier Gourmet itinerary is quite similar to the old Glacier, except they don't disembark on base Specazzini, but in Puesto de las Vacas. It is the only excursion that disembark there. They will have a little walk, a 1 hour walk to a lookout. Passengers who do not want to disembark can stay on the boat. And lunch is included on board in front of the Specazzini Glacier. Then they will navigate to the north wall of the Perito Moreno Glacier, have 1 hour there, they will not disembark, and then they will come back to Puerto Bandera and back to El Calafate. Here is some images of what they see during the navigation. And then we have the very famous Estancia Cristina navigation, and it includes a stay at the Estancia Cristina during the full day. It operates 4 ways, all in full day tours from October to April. All of the 4 excursions option have in common the transfers. You leave El Calafate and reach Punta Bandera. From Punta Bandera, you take a navigation to the Brazo Uppsala, observe the glacier from far away. If you're lucky and it's a clear day, you can see the glacier, and then they will navigate to Estancia Cristina. Reaching Estancia Cristina, it is when the 4 different excursions will separate. It is quite important to note now that the Uppsala Glacier is actually observable from only one spot, which is called the Glacier Uppsala Lookout, and the Estancia Cristina's excursion included in only 2 of their options that I will mention. So the Estancia Cristina Classic, it is the most basic option when visiting Estancia Cristina. You will visit the Museum Costumbrista, which is very important to learn about the history of the region and the first families that settled in the region. You will have time to walk to the Los Perros waterfall, and you will stay at the Estancia. Have lunch there. You have to pre-book your lunch or bring your own, and then they will go back to El Calafate. We do not recommend this option as it is very classic. It is a long day trip to only stay at an estancia. You will not see the Uppsala Glacier in this option, so we usually recommend the Estancia Cristina Discovery option, which is a bit more expensive, but it is worth it. So during this excursion, when arriving at the Estancia Cristina, you will take time to visit the Museo Costumbrista, learn more about the history of the area, and then you will have a crossing in overland to the Glacier Uppsala Lookout, as you can see in the picture. So the Glacier Uppsala is very close from this lookout, and it is the only spot from where you can observe it from El Calafate. It is a very complete option that we strongly recommend. Then they come back by overland to the Estancia, have free time there to have lunch, and go back to El Calafate. Another option, including the lookout of the Uppsala Glacier, is the Estancia Cristina Trekking's Fossil Canyon. It is recommended for active passengers who have experience in hiking. When arriving in Estancia Cristina, they will also take the overland ride to the Uppsala Lookout, and then they will come back to the Estancia on a 14 kilometers trek. It is quite demanding, and they will observe the prehistorical marks in the area. And then we have the newest option, Estancia Cristina, launched 2 years ago, is the horseback riding option. When arriving in the Estancia Cristina, you will have some time to visit the museum, and then you will go on a horseback riding experience. It is a good option to experience the backcountry and the wide lands of the Estancia, but it does not include the Uppsala lookouts. For passengers who only want to do a horseback riding experience, we have some other options closer to El Calafate, as this one looks a bit far away from El Calafate just to horseback ride. And Estencia Cristina is also an all-inclusive lodge. It is a great way to stay away from the crowds. It is a luxury options, and it is great for passengers who want to experience the backcountry and the wilderness of the region after visiting the Alberto Moreno. We recommend a 2 to 3 night stay there. It is an all-inclusive experience, therefore it includes all the excursions we mentioned before and some more, like fly fishing, for example, some different hikes, and then they can come back to El Calafate and to fly to their next destination. And the last excursion we recommend in the northern branch area is the Santa Cruz cruises called Spirit of the Glaciers. It can be a 2 days, 1 night experience or 3 days, 2 night experience. It is a great option for passengers who do not want to be on conventional excursion, who have a nice budget and want to experience an exclusive stay and journey in El Calafate, as this one will include a time on the catwalks in front of the Alberto Moreno. During the whole stay, they will have different disembarkation, 2 per day. The Spegazzinis, they will see the Uppsala Glacier from far away. They will have several disembarkation in Puerto de las Vacas with short hikes. Passengers who do not want to do the hikes can stay on board. It is also a gourmet cruise, therefore the meals and the food is gastronomical, which is a great experience. And on the last days, we have a navigation to the Alberto Moreno Glacier, and they will disembark in Puerto Moreno to have time on the catwalks. Here is a picture. Some other pictures. This is of the Glacier Spegazzini, for example. And this is a map of all the navigations we talked about. So in red, you can see the first one I talked about, the All Glacier excursion here, reaching the Uppsala branch and then the Spegazzini Glacier and base. Gourmet experience as a full day, reaching the same points of the precedent navigation and the Alberto Moreno Glacier. Estancia Cristina in green here, and the Spirit of the Glacier in 2 or 3 days in pink. So reaching most of the area of the national park. We will now talk about half-day activities that are great for arrival days, when passengers arrive with a flight before midday, or when they leave with a flight after 3 p.m. Some countryside day in estancias and adventures excursions. First of all is the Glacier Museum. It is a 2 hours excursion. It can be taken coming back from the Alberto Moreno Glacier or on the day before leaving El Calafate, for example. From the city center, you can take a private transfer, or there's also offer a free shuttle from the city center. It is a nice way to discover and learn more about the local glaciology. It is one of the only glaciology museum in the world. There is a nice bar inside the museum, so they can have a nice experience and then come back to El Calafate. Then we have the safari experience. It is a half-day excursion operating in the morning with lunch, or in the afternoon, at the end of the afternoon with dinner. It operates from November to April, and it is a great experience for photography lovers. They will observe the local wildlife and get to know more about the local fauna and flora. The animals we can see here are called guanacos, and they are cousins to the llamas. And a similar excursion will be the Nativo Experience, where you will also learn from local fauna and flora. but the focus is on learning more about the natives of the area before the European arrived. You will visit a little cave with some paintings and have dinner or lunch in the cave. When taken at night, this option is great for observing the stars. It operates in the morning or at the end of the afternoon and all year. And then we have one of my favorite excursions is the Estancia Nibibo hike. It operates as a half day, 6 hours, or full day. It includes lunch or dinner. So you leave El Calafate, reach the Estancia Nibibo hike, and visit the Estancia, learn more about its history. You can take a horseback ride experience or not, have a little hike. There it includes a sheep show and lunch or dinner. Nibibo hike is a very traditional estancia, and it offers a great peek of what the gaucho life is and used to be in Patagonia. And Nibibo hike also operates as an all-inclusive lodge with horseback riding experiences. They include half or full pension with activities. They have horseback riding journey on several days to explore the backcountry, sleeping in puestos, which are refuges, very basic refuges, and exploring the wild Patagonia. It is one of the only working estancia in the area that is dedicated to rural tourism, so it is a great option for passengers who are requesting local experiences. And as we mentioned before, the excursion, Pioneers excursion, comes through the Estancia Nibibo hike. So this is why it is a great excursion, as you will experience the Alberto Moreno Glacier and the Estancia Nibibo hike in one day only. And then we have the South Glacier Adventure. It is a full day trip and it operates from October to April. It includes a 14 kilometers hike and 2 navigations. It is a perfect option for hike lovers who do not have time to go to El Chalten because they don't have 2 more nights to dedicate to the trip. And they will visit an unexplored area with no other passengers than from the one participating in the excursion. So they will leave El Calafate by the route of the Estancia, reach Nibibo hike. They will not have lunch there. They don't have time to visit it. They will just reach the Estancia, then take a navigation on the southern branch, reach the Lago Frias by foot on a 2 kilometers hike, which is with quite some elevation. Then they will take a 15 minutes navigation on Lago Frias, and they will have a 5 kilometers hike until the hidden Glacier Canyon. It is a very remote area with no one, and it is very unexplored. This is the only excursion reaching this area, so it is a great option for passengers who want to be away from the crowds. And then we also recommend for active passengers the Darwin Experience. It is a half-day excursion and it operates all year. It is a kayak experience located 35 minutes away from El Calafate in a spot called Charles Four, from where they will cross the river by kayak to reach an estancia. There in the Estancia, the owner will wait for the passengers with a typical asado lunch, asado being the Argentinian barbecue, and then they will come back to El Calafate. So it's a nice option for active passengers. And I will present the 2 last excursions we recommend in El Calafate, the safari bike or canyon experience. The 2 of them are half-day experiences. They operate from November to April, include on the Cerro Frias. The Cerro Frias is the summit that is behind El Calafate, offering a great view on the lake area. Here is the canyon experience as a hike version instead of mountain bike. And it has some age restrictions, of course. It is quite physically demanding, but you don't have to be an experienced hiker to do them. Is there any questions about El Calafate? Because we are now starting on El Chalten.
No question, Adele. Okay, so we can continue.
Great. So we will now continue with the El Chalten area. El Chalten is known as the national capital of trekking. It is reachable from October to April, as it is between the mountains. During the winter, there is too much snow to actually access it. It is 250 kilometers away from El Calafate, and you can reach it by car for those who are traveling on self-drives, by regular buses, or private and shared transfers from El Calafate. So Chalten is a little mountain village in the Rio de las Vueltas Valley, 3 hours from El Calafate, and it is famous for all of their hikes, and it is at the foothill of the Fitzroy summit. We will, during this presentation, we will present the most common and famous hikes and some alternative excursions for passengers who really want to discover the backcountry of El Chalten. So first of all, on the day of arrival of our people who are not okay to do really difficult hikes, I will present 2 little easy hikes. First is the Mirador de los Condores and de las Águilas. It is a 46 kilometers hike and it's 2 hours. The elevation is 100 meters, so as you can see, it's quite low and the difficulty is very low. They leave El Chalten, the village here, and by foot they will reach the Mirador de los Condores. If they want to continue, Mirador las Águilas and come back to El Chalten. El Chalten is a great place since you can do almost all of the hikes leaving the village by foot. You don't have to take a car from the village. So it is a great option. Then you have Chorizo el Salto. It is a 6 kilometers hike forth and back. When I say the distances, it's always a complete hike. It's not just to go on the way up. It's a complete hike. And the elevation is 10 meters, so it is very easy. You reach a very nice waterfall with a nice scenery and come back to El Chalten. So they leave El Chalten by foot, reach Chorizo el Salto, and come back to El Chalten. For passengers who don't want to walk on this path, they can take a transfer to here and then only walk the last kilometer. Then for passengers who want a little more elevation and difficulty, Laguna Cabrillo is a nice option. It is a bit more difficult, but it is of medium difficulty. It's an 8-kilometer trek and 5 to 5 hours. You will have a view on the Laguna Cabrillo, of course, and if the day is clear, on Cerro Fitzroy. So you leave El Chalten, reach Camp Capri, Laguna Cabrillo, and come back by the same trail. It is important to notice that in all Patagonia, but specifically El Chalten, the weather is very unstable. You can have 4 seasons in only one day. So sometimes some excursions are subject to climate conditions because it is not recommended to go on a hike when it's raining too much or when the winds are very strong, which can happen a lot in El Chalten. And some days the clouds are so present that you won't be able to see Cerro Fitzroy. So this is why we have some other very nice options that I will talk about to visit the area without missing the most important highlights. A view of the Laguna Cabrillo. Then another option with more elevation and of medium difficulty is Laguna Torre. It is a very famous lake in the area. It is an 18-kilometer hike, so 6 to 7 hours. It is a full day tour, and the elevation is 250 meters. In this hike, you will leave El Chalten, reach the lookout of Cerro Torre, and continue to Laguna Torre. For those who want to walk more, you can reach the Mirador Maestri. It has a lot of elevation, and then come back to El Chalten. It is one of the most famous hike of the region. A view of the Laguna Torre and the glacier behind. And last but not least, one of the most famous hike, Laguna de los Tres. This one is very demanding. It has a lot of elevation, especially on the last kilometer, and it offers incredible views over the Fitzroy summit, the Lagunas Madre and Hija, and the Glacier Blanco. It is a 17 kilometers hike with 8 to 9 hours walking time, and the elevation is 750 meters. So you have, this is only for passengers who are quite active. So you leave El Chalten by land. This is the itinerary we recommend the most. You can leave it by car here, been transferred here to a little osteria, and then do the whole cycle to Poinseno, reach the Laguna de los Tres, go back down and reach El Chalten back, passing by Laguna Cabrillo and coming back to El Chalten. Some people actually leave El Chalten and go up from Laguna Cabrillo and Laguna de los Tres and come back by the same path, but it is a harder option. Some pictures of the view crossing the forest and then reaching the Cerro Fitzroy base, the Laguna de los Tres. These are the lakes Madre and Hija, which means mother and daughter. And then come back to El Calafate. And one last hike we recommend that is quite high difficulty, but it is a good option on cloudy days because it is mainly in the forest, so passengers are protected from the winds. And it offers a very wide view of all the region and the best view of the summit Fitzroy. It is a 21 kilometers hike, 7 to 8 hours, and the elevation is of 150 meters. So it is quite difficult. They leave El Chalten, they follow this path and reach Loma Pliegue Tumbado, reach the view and come back to El Chalten. This is a view of the Pliegue Tumbado and then come back to El Chalten. For those who already came to El Chalten or want to explore a more pristine area with less people, because in the high season it can be a bit crowded on the trails, we recommend the Adventure Caliero. It's a Via Ferrata and ice trek. It is a very nice option. It's located on the private Los Guemones reserve on the north of El Chalten, and you will walk for 21 kilometers. It is a 10-hour experience, so quite demanding, and it has an elevation of 530 meters. What you will do during this day is walk until the Glacier Caliero here on the north and reach the Caliero Glacier, and once there you will have a little Via Ferrata. Here you can see on the pictures above, and then put on crampons and have a nice trek. For people who want to separate this experience in two, they can stay in the Puesto Carriero. It's a mountain refuge located in the Los Guemones Reserve. It is a very basic mountain refuge with common rooms and bathroom. They offer meals also, and this way passengers can do the full day excursion to Glacier Caliero and then sleep there, or go up the Puesto Caliero on the previous day and then do the Caliero experience on the following day. Then in the area we have some different activities than just hiking. Of course, we have a kayak experience on the Rio de las Vueltas. You have different options and difficulties. And we have one of my favorite area of El Chalten is the Lago del Desierto. Lago del Desierto is a lake located north of El Chalten. So El Chalten is on the south here. It's 1 hour drive on a gravel road to reach the south portion of the lake. And it includes, on a full day, it includes a navigation. So you can navigate on the Lago del Desierto and reach the northern part. When you take a full day, you will have a little trek on the near the Glacier Vespignani, and then come back navigating to the southern part. Here are some pictures, Glacier Vespignani, and the boats that will navigate on the Lago del Desierto. It is quite an impressive view. And in the Lago del Desierto, on the northern part, you will find the Aguas Arriwa Lodge. It is a very exclusive lodge with only 5 rooms. They offer an all-inclusive experience, including the navigation to reach the lodge, all meals, and hikes with local guides. The reserve where it's located is private, meaning they will not see any other passengers than the ones that are in the same lodge as they are. It is a very remote place and it offers magical views of the northern face of the Fitzroy summit with quite an exclusive experience. Then outside from the classic hotels in El Chalten, we wanted to present some unique accommodation in the area. So here is the Charlton Camp. It is a glamping experience with domes. It's an all-inclusive stay with hikes and other activities included, and of course, all of the meals. This is a nice option for passengers who want to experience something else than the classic accommodations. And we also have in the Guemones Reserve, where you can do the Glacier Experience, the newest Explorer Hotel that opened the last year. It's offering an all-inclusive stay with a large menu of excursion, from the very conventional one to unique ones in private or regular. And it also includes a visit to El Calafate on a full-day excursion. Here is a picture of one of the rooms. So as you can see, it offers a great view. And last is the Estancia Helsingfors on the banks of Lake Viedma. The Estancia Helsingfors is located on a very remote place where there is no other accommodation, 2 hours away from El Chalten and 2 hours away from El Calafate. They offer an all-inclusive stay with all the food and excursions, but mainly they offer horseback riding experiences. These are some pictures of the activities you can do in the lodge. And now we will continue with Torres del Paine. Is there any questions about El Chalten and the area?
No question, Adele, so far, so we can continue.
Great. I hope it's because I explain well and not because I don't understand anything.
No. The thing is that we want to be there right now.
Yes, we all want to. I do too. So Torres del Paine. Torres del Paine is a national park, one of the most beautiful one in the area, located in Chile on the other side of the border. So we talked about El Calafate here, and then El Chalten, that is located here, 3 hours from El Calafate. Estancia Helsingfors is located here. I just talked about it. And for passengers who want to combine these two destinations with Parque Nacional Torres del Paine, you will have to cross the border from Argentina and Chile. So it is located 260 kilometers from El Calafate, 61 kilometers from Puerto Natal, the closest village near the park, and 300 kilometers away from Punta Arenas, which is the closest airport on the Chilean side. So from El Calafate, there are 3 ways to reach and visit Torres del Paine. In all of them, passengers will have to travel at least 4 hours by bus, private transferred, shared transfer, to reach the Chilean border called Cerro Castillo that you can see here. So bus and transfers will cross here by Rio and reach Cerro Castillo. You can see there is a road here, but it is not in good condition, and you have to have really good vehicles and 4x4 and SUVs. So usually the buses, transfers, and even in self-drive, we recommend to cross by here. When reaching Cerro Castillo, passengers have to get down the vehicle, pass with the passport or the visas if necessary, and then they can enter Chile. So then to visit the Parque Nacional Torres del Paine, you can do it on full-day tour, staying or in El Calafate as one full-day tour, or staying in Puerto Natales in different excursions, or all-inclusive lodges within the Parque Nacional Torres del Paine. Here is a map, so you can have some ideas. Puerto Natales is located here, Cerro Castillo is here, El Calafate would be up there, and the Parque Nacional Torres del Paine is located here. It is quite big and wide area, and actually I recommend several days to visit it. So as I just mentioned before, to visit this area, you can do a full-day tour from El Calafate. It is a long day. Or stay in Puerto Natales. This is for passengers who are on a budget, because staying within the national park can be quite expensive. Or also, as there are not a lot of hotels in the national park, sometimes there is no more availability, and we have to accommodate passengers in Puerto Natales. So the full-day tour from El Calafate, I will briefly talk about it, because we usually do not recommend this option for passengers who can add 2 or 3 more nights to their trip. This is a nice option for passengers who do not have time to add 2 nights to the trip. They will go to Torres del Paine from El Calafate on a 14-hour excursion. It operates from September to April. They will go by overland in this bus you can see, so they will be able to actually access some trails that are quite difficult and see most of the park in only one day. It is not recommended for people who have problems, neck and back problems, cardiac conditions, as it is a long and exhausting day, and also the ride can be a bit uncomfortable sometimes. And then from Puerto Natales, we recommend a stay of 2 or 3 nights. 2 minimum, 3 is ideal. So they can do a full day tour to Torres del Paine, and on the second day, a navigation to the glaciers Balmaceda and Rio Serrano. How to reach Puerto Natales? You can take a private transfer from El Calafate or regular buses. So the traveling time is from 5 to 6 hours. And then Puerto Natales is located 1 hour away from the main highlights of the national park. So it's way closer than El Calafate. During the full day, Torres del Paine from Puerto Natales, you will visit several highlights in the park. It is a 11 to 12 hours excursion, and it operates all year. During winter, it is subject to climatic conditions, of course. So during the trip, they will leave Puerto Natales, reach the Cueva Los Milodon, and they will continue and reach a lookout of Lago Torre, Lago Peoe, Lago Nordenskjold, and then Sarmiento. They will have time on the waterfall Los Paine, and then Los Paine, and then come back to Puerto Natales. On the private version, this is the Cueva del Milodon. On the private version, they will have time to take the optional navigation of Lago Grey, and then come back to El Calafate. On the second full day excursion in Puerto Natales, we recommend the navigation glaciers Balmaceda and Serrano. It is a navigation that operates all year, subject to weather during winter because it depends on the level of the water. It is a 10 to 11 hours excursion, and it includes lunch in an estancia or in Puerto Natales. So they will leave Puerto Natales from Puerto Boris, which is the local deck. They will navigate the fjord Ultima Esperanza, have lunch in the Estancia Perales. This estancia suffered a fire 2 years ago, but it should be rebuilding now and operating next season. Then they continue the navigation. They reach a lookout of Glacier Balmaceda, reach Glacier Serrano. They disembark there, have a 1 hour walk to the lookout of Glacier Serrano, and come back to Puerto Natales. Here is a picture of the lookout of Glacier Serrano. And for passengers who have 1 night in Puerto Natales and then they want to be accommodated in the national park, or they want to leave the national park, here is a transfer, an excursion in transfer to reach the national park from Puerto Natales or vice versa, and still visit some of the area. So the itinerary is the same as the navigation I just presented. They will leave Puerto Natales by boat, the Fjord Ultima Esperanza, and from the lookout Glacier Serrano, they will continue on the They will continue on the Rio Serrano, the red itinerary here, to reach the Puerto Serrano. And then for Puerto Serrano, they can be transferred to the hotels in the Torres del Paine area. It operates only from October to April, and the luggage of the passengers will travel by land from Puerto Natales to the hotels in Torres del Paine. So they arrive here at the Porteria Serrano, and then they can be transferred to the other hotels, which are where the red thingy are. Then now I will present what to do when you are accommodated within the national park. So the main attractions will be hikes and treks, and those will depend on the lodge you are accommodated in. So here is the map of the national park and where each hotel is located. So the most famous hotels, of course, so we have the Osteria Peoe here, Explora, Osteria Rio Serrano, Lago Grey, Patagonia Camp, Tierra Patagonia, and we have the Awasi on the north part. Patagonia Camp and Awasi are located at the border of the national park, not inside the park, but all the excursions they include are in the national park. Each hotel, as you can see, is located on a different portion of the park, and they always include one menu that is common to all of the hotels with the most famous hikes. And then each of them will specify in a different kind of excursion according to the area they are in. And I forgot to mention Las Torres Osteria. So there are three kinds of accommodation, luxury ones with the Awasi Lodge, for example, that is quite remote. They offer private all-inclusive stay with a private guide. It's also a gastronomical experience. We usually recommend at least 4 nights in the Awasi Lodge. Then we have the Explorer, also luxury options, located in one of the most beautiful landscape of the park with a great view of Los Cuernos and on the lake. Is a view of the Explorer Lodge. And then we have 4-star hotels offering all-inclusive stay on a shared basis. They also have options on private, but as a supplement. So one of the accommodation I like the most is Hosteria Lago Grey, because it's located on the Lago Grey with a great view. We also have Hosteria Rio Serrano, Hosteria Las Torres, located on a very privileged spot of the park at the base Las Torres, and the Pampa Lodge. And then we have a glamping option, which is a Patagonia Camp that I also strongly recommend for passengers who wants to have a different kind of experience. And we have also 3 stars hotel, not all inclusive, so great for passengers who do self-drive trips, for example, who are on a budget. But we usually recommend all-inclusive stay, making all the distances easier inside the national park. So for all the all-inclusive hotels, they always include many different excursions and duration, but the principal one will always be base Las Torres. It is a 20-kilometer hike. It's 8 hours walking, and the elevation is 380 meters. It is medium-high difficulty. Medium because you won't have a lot of elevation, but it is a long day. It operates from all the hotels, but Las Torres Osteria is at the foothill of the beginning of this trail. Then we have the Valle Frances, which will always be included in all the hotels. It's a 19 kilometers hike, 8 hours. The elevation is not so high, so we can say it's a medium difficulty hike. It also operates from all the hotels. And then we have the Lago Grey navigation and lookout. It can be a half or full day excursion. The navigation is on Lago Grey. So as I mentioned before, the Hosteria Lago Grey is the best location to take this navigation, but you can take it from all the hotels. And the national park, Torres del Paine, is also very famous for the W trek. It's a 3 to 5 days trek, or the O trek. So you can do it sleeping in camping in the assigned campment. You cannot camp everywhere you want. It is a very protected area, and it's important to respect it. So you have to pre-book, and actually the W trek is a very demanded excursion. So it is good to book at least a year in advance, as the camping areas are quite restricted. You have to book in advance in order to be able to have some availability. And also most of the lodges offer some more upscale experience, more luxurious experience, meaning you will sleep in the hotels, hotels we mentioned before, and every day they will transfer you to the next destination so you can complete the W trek. So as you can see, the itinerary forms a W, and you will pass by the most famous areas of the park, the Lago Grey, Peo Lake, all the lookouts, the Cuerno Mountains, Glacier Frances, and finish in Las Torres. And the O trek is the 5 days to 8 days trek, doing a circuit in Ao. So All the lodges that we talked about also include regular or private transfers to either Puerto Natales and Punta Arenas, and some of them include them until Cerro Castillo, the border with Argentina, or sometimes to El Calafate. It will depend on the lodge. It's important to see with us when you want to offer a stay in Torres del Paine combining with El Calafate, which lodge are the best combining with the transfers they offers, the excursions they offers, according to what your passengers want to visit in Torres del Paine. To go back to El Calafate from Torres del Paine, for passengers who will continue the trip to Argentina, you can take one of the land transfer offered by the lodge or private transfers, and it will take 5 to 7 hours according to where you are accommodated in the park. Then you can also continue your trip to Chile, coming back to Puerto Natales or to Punta Arenas. To reach Punta Arenas, it's a 5 hours trip. Punta Arenas is the biggest city in the Chilean Southern Patagonia, where you will have the airport to take a plane to either North Patagonia or to Chile, Santiago de Chile. There is no plane flying to Argentina from Punta Arenas. Or in Punta Arenas, you can also take a cruise that will come back to Argentina by Ushuaia. It is called the Australis Cruise, and it is a great way to combine Argentinian and Chilean Patagonia. It is a 5 nights, 6 days, 5 nights, 6 days cruise, leaves Punta Arenas and reach Ushuaia, or the other way around. And you will visit different fjords, glaciers. They include many excursions. They include a lot also of conferences on glaciology, on the local fauna. You will see a lot of penguins, and it includes a lot of stop in all of the Magallanes Fjord area. And then you will reach Ushuaia, which will be the topic of our next webinar in 2 weeks, the Tierra del Fuego in Argentina and Chile. So today we explored what we called Austral Patagonia, El Calafate, El Chalten, and Torres del Paine with a bit of Punta Arenas. And this is the first part of our Austral Patagonia edition. And then we will continue in 2 weeks with the Tierra del Fuego, which is an island here on the most southern part of the world. So thank you very much for watching. We invite you to follow us on Instagram. You can watch and rewatch all of the webinars we did on our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Facebook and add us on LinkedIn. And of course, you can visit us on our website and find our toolbook there. We will also send you a mail with the link to our latest toolbook edition with all of the products we offer. I hope you enjoyed the trip to Patagonia today, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. That's what we are here for. And if you have any requests, you can send us a mail and ask us anything you want.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice day ahead.